On today's episode of the Author Hangout, Shelley Hitz from trainingauthors.com brings the energy. She talks about how she got into self-publishing through a niche market need, why 21 has become a theme in the books she has written, the blueprint of building a book marketing plan, solutions to help authors get honest book reviews, what do you do when somebody rips your work in a review, and ARCs, what are they, and the process to get them. Are you ready? Let's get right into it. Hey everyone, Sean Manaher here with the Author Hangout, here with Shelley Hitz and also RJ Adams. RJ, how you doing today?
Hey guys.
And Shelley, it's so good to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, and it's been really good. I actually found you when I was searching for places to submit free Kindle books. Ran across you at trainingauthors.com, saw you on Amazon. So there's a lot of cool things that you're doing. So we're going to get right into it, all right?
Awesome. I'm ready.
All right. So can you tell us about how you got started in self-publishing and some of the successes that you've had so far?
Sure. I actually started out as a speaker before I was an author. So I started out speaking and was speaking specifically to teen girls and was realizing 45 minutes to 60 minutes was not enough time to share everything I wanted to share with them. I'd have girls come up to me wanting advice and counseling and such, and I just didn't have time. And I realized I need a resource. And so it was out of a need that I published my first print book, and it was for teen girls. And one thing led to the other. I was able to resign my job as a physical therapist. I practiced for 12 years, and I thought I was going to mostly be doing speaking with my husband. We actually bought an RV, and we lived in it for a while, and then everything just flip-flopped, and we actually ended up doing more publishing, and we just found out that I'm a prolific author. I can write a lot in a short amount of time, and I love to learn, I love to teach, I love to share what I've learned. And now I have over 30 books in print, Kindle, audiobook. I have a book translated in Spanish, and I have a children's ebook. So it has been a fun ride, something totally different. I mean, from physical therapist to, author, speaker, entrepreneur, totally different. But I am now full-time, and I love doing what I do.
That's cool. And you've written over something like 30 books, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
That's awesome. And what genres are you writing in right now?
I write nonfiction. So I have a couple fiction books in the works, but I don't know if they'll ever get published. We'll see. But I write nonfiction, mostly Christian living type books, and then also my books for authors on how-tos, how to publish, market your books, those types of things.
Yeah, and I noticed when I was looking at the books on Amazon, 21 seems to be a theme in the books that you write. 21 Days of Gratitude, 21 Prayers of Faith, 21, 21, 21. So why is it 21?
That just, actually happened kind of accidentally, and then it became kind of a branding thing for me. Mm. And, when you're an author, it is good to have some branding. So, some authors, choose different things for their branding, and that was just something that kind of evolved for me and our Christian living type books. And so my first book was a book on gratitude. It was the 21 Days of Gratitude Challenge, and it was because I myself was going through a rough time, and I needed to focus on gratitude. And so I did the challenge myself, and I started a little Facebook group for my friends, and it took off, and I realized, this is something I think other people could benefit from. I ended up publishing the book. It did amazingly well. Did a whole series on gratitude, and then, the rest is history. I just realized the 21 days is, 21 takes 21 days to form a habit, and it just is an easy to consume book. People are busy. People want something that they can, instead of 322 ways, it's 21. You can do that within a month. It's it just happened to really hit a nerve and be what my target audience was really wanting.
That's very cool.
So right now you're training authors. How important is marketing education for the new self-published and indie author?
Oh, it's so important because, as you guys know, I like to use the illustration. You're walking into a stadium and you have a message to share. It's a powerful message, whether it's packaged in a fiction book as entertainment or a nonfiction book, but you have a message to share. Well, you walk into that stadium and that stadium is empty. I mean, is your message going to impact very many lives? Not really. So, when you publish your book, you have to come into a stadium that has people in it. And the only way you're going to have people in your stadium is to have an author platform and begin marketing your book in different ways. And so it is so important. Otherwise, you're going to publish this book and be like, where are the people? Where are the sales? Why am I not selling any books? I also like to use the illustration with authors because so many authors think they're done when they publish their book. Woo! The hard part's done. Well, actually, marketing continues for the rest of your life, and it's similar to a woman who has a baby. The pregnancy is 9 months. You give birth, woohoo, it's done, right? Not really. You parent for the rest of your life, right? Yeah. And so it's similar with a book. You publish it. You've put your time, your sweat, your energy into creating the best book that you can, a good cover, quality editing, all of those things. But then the marketing, you have to do it. And there's so much competition right now. There's so many books out there. If you're not marketing your book, if you don't have a marketing plan of some sort, unless you already have an established platform as a speaker and you sell your books at your events, it's going to be really hard to get your message out.
And did you find after you started publishing prolifically that you were then able to get speaking engagements easier, or is that something that you just don't do anymore?
We do have a call to action in the back of our books, if you want to hire us as a speaker, and we have gotten inquiries through that. I also have a website specifically for teen girls, and that's where a lot of my speaking engagements come from, are from those books as well as that website. But yeah, I mean, it can increase your speaking invitations because they see your books, they read them, they like the information, and I'm actually in the process right now of writing a book with a co-author for speakers who want to publish books. And not only is it a great way to get speaking gigs, but it's also a way to develop credibility and to have a really nice business card. When you have that print book, it's like a business card on steroids. And you hand that book to somebody, I guarantee you 99.9% of people will not throw that book away. If anything, they would donate it to charity or something. I have a hard time throwing a book away, but how many people will throw your business card away? So many. And so it's such a great tool to have for speakers.
Yeah. And when you're talking about resources for authors, what are some resources that you recommend for new self-published authors, or even those that have been self-published or traditionally published?
Yeah, there are tons of resources out there. I actually have a whole page full of the resources I recommend. It's trainingauthors.com/resources. But some of the very basic ones, obviously, you have to have word processing, whether you use Word or something else. Dropbox, I use Dropbox every day, all day. And a computer backup. As an author, your business is on your computer. It's, your manuscript is saved there. You need backups. So Dropbox is one way to back it up, as well as backing up, your entire computer, those types of things. So, there are tons and tons of resources. We have a program on our website that we sell. It's called Ebook Publishing Success. And if you want to publish an ebook and you have no idea where to start, this is great for you because we provide a template, a Word template that has everything set up for you, and we walk you step by step through setting up and publishing your first Kindle ebook, as well as if you want to distribute it to other sites.
That's awesome. And does that also include book marketing? And I have a question about book marketing plan. That's a big question, but what would a book marketing plan look like for an author? And I'm sure you wrote something on it, but can you unpack kind of what that should look like for authors?
Sure. Actually, we do. We have a free gift on our website, trainingauthors.com/newsletter. And when you sign up, you get access to our Building a Book Marketing Plan for free. So I definitely recommend, authors, even if you've already set up a book marketing plan, download it. You might learn a few new tips and may help you definitely with that. But yeah, there's different steps to building a book marketing plan. And I like to think of it like building a house. So first, when you build a house, you need a blueprint, right? You need to have that blueprint of what's coming, and that's your actual plan. That's your strategy. And the thing that I excel in is strategy, like helping authors strategize and setting up for success. And so you strategize with to represent you. If it's nonfiction, keywords, targeting certain niches. If you write a book on underwater basket weaving and there's no one that is interested in that, you're not going to sell many books. Now, if you're passionate about that topic and you really, 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 really want to still write that book, just know you probably aren't going to sell many. But doing the keyword research, what are people interested in? What are they looking for? And you can even do that for fiction. But setting up your strategy, your blueprint, and then comes the foundation. The foundation is having a quality cover. That's part of marketing. Because if you don't have a good book cover, there's books that are even free that I'll go to their page. It looks very amateurish on the cover. I won't even download it for free. And so, having a good book cover, having quality editing, having a good book blurb. The blurb is what really helps sell your book on your book sales page. And setting up an initial author platform. I recommend having a hub. Your author website or blog is your hub, and then 1 or 2 social media platforms you focus on. You cannot do everything, and authors try to do everything. They're like, oh, I need to be on Pinterest and Google Plus and this and that. Choose 1 or 2, and there's different strategies that I use to try to find out which ones would be best for your target audience. So that's the foundation, and then you're building your house. And when you're building your house, that's when it's like the post-publication stuff. You're getting on Goodreads. You're making sure your book is there. You're optimizing Amazon for your book, the categories, the things that you want to do. You're building that excitement. You might, create a Facebook milestone. I just published my book, all of that. And then finally, you move in. Don't you love move-in day? That's where you're going to live, in your house for a long time. And so once you have that book and you have everything set up, that's when the real promotion starts. That's when you really start looking at, am I going to do KDP Select? Am I going to do blog tours? Am I going to do this, that? And definitely that's where the meat of it is. But that's kind of the way I look at building a book marketing plan.
And that's pretty involved. And so I actually just downloaded the plan because I thought, this is probably going to be really good. So I'm going to take a look at it while RJ's asking you a few other questions.
Okay.
So once you've just moved into the house, one of the hardest things to do is to get reviews for that book. And you just wrote a book about that. Can you tell us a little bit about that new book that you just wrote?
Sure. Yeah, we wrote a book, How to Get Honest Reviews, and it's to increase credibility, increase sales, and there's research out there that shows that having reviews and having more customer reviews does help sell your product. So what this book was, as I mentioned, I have published over 30 books and in a pretty short time, and so I had tons of books that needed reviews, and I usually try to get at least 10 to 15 reviews for my book before I launch and before I promote it heavily. And so that was tiring. I was getting exhausted, just going through the process of trying to find reviews and trying to, figure out how to do it. And it was through all of that trial and error with my own books that I found several different techniques that worked. And one that worked the best for me, I used this technique recently with my children's ebook and had dozens of reviews on that book within a week. I mean, it really does work. And so I wanted to share what I found to work with other authors because, it's not just the big traditionally published authors, these traditional publishers have these review programs. And I'm like, why can't we do something like that? Why can't we tap into that? And so we offer tons and tons of different options in the book to get reviews and things that have actually worked for us.
What are some of those? I know you can't give away the whole bag of tricks, but are there like 1 or 2 that really stand out?
Yeah, so one of the things that I really hadn't known about, but I decided to try, was a Library Thing ebook giveaway. Have you guys heard of Library Thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Goodreads, and what it does is, you are able to put up an ebook, and you're able to offer it for free in their ebook giveaway program. And you can, in your little blurb, say, I'm giving it away to increase, to help get reviews for my book. But obviously you can't force that person. But I was able to do that, and was able to deliver the ebook copy, so it cost me nothing, and able to get reviews for my book that way. So that was one way, and in the book there's the templates, the exact emails that I used, the exact blurb that I posted on Library Thing, and so you can pretty much just edit it for your book and use the same thing, and it doesn't cost anything for you except a little bit of your time.
Oh, that's awesome. Are there any other ways that really stood out?
Yeah, I mean, what we did was we looked at some of the big traditionally published companies and what they were doing, and what they do is they have book review programs. And so what we did was we set up our own book review program, and was able to, people who are already emailing us and already saying we love your books, or are part of my email list. I said, hey, do you want to read my books in exchange for a review for free? They already know, like, and trust me. They already like my books, and so I developed a tribe of reviewers. I actually have a couple hundred right now that have agreed to review my books. So I send out one email, and just send out the review copies, and it's really super easy, but I outline everything in my book, exactly how, step by step, I did that, all the templates, all the, emails and stuff. So again, you can just kind of copy paste, but definitely that is my #1 most effective method.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you also have, I saw on your speaking gigs that you help authors with optimizing their book on Amazon. Can you tell us kind of a little bit about that process and how authors can optimize their books on Amazon?
Sure. So when you're on Amazon, there's tons and tons of stuff you can do for free. And when I am coaching one-on-one with authors, I will evaluate their author page, their book pages, their platform, all of that. And when I go to Amazon, 90% of the time, most authors have not taken full advantage of everything that they can optimize on Amazon. Amazon isn't the only bookseller, and we have our books on other platforms as well, but they definitely make up the majority of our income. So it's important, with them being such a big part of publishing, to optimize as much as you can on there. One of the big things that you can do is choosing keywords. And so when you publish on, like if you're self-publishing, when you publish on KDP or on CreateSpace, you can choose keywords. It's 7 keywords on Kindle and 5 keywords on CreateSpace. And those are very, very critical. And most people just kind of, it's last minute, you're publishing your book and you're just thinking, okay, just whatever comes to mind. Those are really important marketing tools for you, and what it will do is it will help people when they're searching those things on Amazon. It will help your book to come up in the search engine on Amazon. And so I really recommend authors to do some keyword research, use like the Google keyword tool or other keyword research tools, and actually think about that and strategize, what keywords do I want to use for my book? Now, it's against Amazon's terms and service to use other author names or other books in that space. Like, some people try to, like, write off as someone else's popularity. Someone actually did that for my book the other day, my self-publishing books 101. They actually had, when I searched my name, their book came up, and it's because they were putting my name as their keyword, which is against the terms and service of Amazon. So if Amazon finds that out, they could take their book down or even close their account. So I don't want to risk anything like that. But you can definitely take advantage of those keywords to even a next level if you do just take that extra hour or whatever and do that keyword research first instead of just slapping something in there. And you can update them. If you've already put those in there, go ahead, do some keyword research and update those keywords so that people can find your book when they're searching on Amazon.
For nonfiction For nonfiction authors, it's a lot easier to figure out what your keywords are. Do you have any tips for fiction authors for diving in and picking out good keywords to help them sell better?
Yeah, you can choose genre-specific, ideas. You can, look at your topics, your themes, those types of things. I have other tips and things. Because I don't publish fiction. My business partner, Heather Hart, is more the expert on that side of things. And so, I would have to do a little research and get that information. But yeah, we definitely have information on that. I just don't have it on the top of my head.
Gotcha. And kind of backing up just a little bit, you talked about somebody trying to rip on basically your success. How do you handle that as an author, and what should somebody do when that happens?
Well, you can do two things. I mean, first of all, be glad that you're successful enough that they're wanting to do that. But, I mean, if I wanted to, I could report that book to Amazon and say, they're using my name in their book, and let them know, so you can report those things to Amazon. More than anything, what I choose to do is just to stay on my path, and I just try to keep doing what I do it to the best quality that I can, and do it in an ethical way. That's why we called our book How to Get Honest Reviews, because there's a lot of things people are doing that do not follow Amazon's terms of service, and they are either unethical, or they do not go against, or they do not follow what Amazon set up. So I really believe in just doing the best I can do, and those people that are trying to do that, I believe that they're going to eventually fall off anyways, I mean, if they're just trying to copy somebody else and they're not being original, not being themselves, that's one of the things with marketing these days. There's so many people out there. You have to be yourself. You have to be who you are, shine your gifts, your personality, who you are, and nobody can copy that.
And so what are some of those bad ways, and rabbit trails continue to go down these reviews, what are some bad ways that people can get reviews? Well,
you can pay for them. That's the big thing. It's been talked about in the news before, some big-time authors, buying reviews and stuff like that. Definitely do not. Some people have bought them on Fiverr. I'll pay you $5 to post a review for your book. No, don't do that. Another thing is giving anything in exchange for the review except a copy of your book. So I see a lot of people, even well-known people in the book marketing industry, that will offer other things in exchange for a review. Like, I'll give you a raffle, or I'll put your name in a raffle for this prize if you post a review. Technically, that is against Amazon's terms of service. I personally would not do it. I mean, a lot of people are getting away with it, but what if I'm the one person that Amazon comes down on and they close my account? I can't afford to have my account closed. That's, income that I get every month, and personally, I'm not willing to risk it just to get more reviews. There are so many other ways to get honest reviews, legitimately, ethically, that follow Amazon's terms of service. Why even risk it? Why even do anything that may look even, and to be honest, when I see people doing that, it kind of drops them down a notch in respect level for me, because I know that they're not following the system that Amazon, and I know most of them know that. They know that what they're doing. So, it's better to do it the right way.
And I actually looked over your guide, and I was interested to read. I get this, but why don't you talk about, you actually have in pre-publication, you're telling people in your guide that's for free on your website, Building a Book Marketing Plan. You say solicit reviews, and it's in pre-publication. What is that all about?
So you can send an advanced review copy, ARC is what it's called in the publishing world. Okay. And what you can do, I would watermark it or something so people know it's before it's fully finished going through the editing process, all of those sorts of things. You can start having people read it while it's still in the process, as long as they know, it's still being edited, it's still being formatted, that sort of thing. You can send out an ARC, and once then you click publish, you can send out an email and say, okay guys, go ahead and post your reviews. And then they can post the reviews right away once your book is published. You can also, what we're talking about too with soliciting reviews, you can start gathering people willing to review your book. So if you have, found people through social media, through, the library thing giveaway, or just different things, the library thing wouldn't work up, but, just through, your own book review program, just the different ways that you can bring people in that would be willing to review your book, then you have that group ready, and then you send them the book once it is published. So, that way you're like 2 steps ahead of the game instead of publishing the book and then thinking, oh, who could I get to review this book? Where do I look? How do I do this? And that sort of thing.
Gotcha. And so assuming, well, this is all going to work, which it works, right? What happens, positive reviews are great, but I'm sure there's sometimes people get negative reviews. You may have even gotten negative reviews on your books. How do you handle that, and what should somebody do?
Yeah, you will always get negative reviews unless your book is not selling. If your book is not selling and you've just, had people that already know, like, and trust you and, like your stuff, but you may get somebody that is not your target audience. So that happens sometimes when I run a KDP Select free promotion. With the gratitude books, they are faith-based. And so somebody may have downloaded that book not realizing it has religious content and get upset. So I had a couple people that were like, we didn't want this. Well, it's very clear in the description and everything that it has that, but they obviously didn't read that. So, I could make it clear in my title, but, that's just one thing to realize. Sometimes you may get people that are not in your target audience, so they may give you bad reviews. That's okay, because then your target audience will see, well, this is a book for me, Yeah. Sometimes you just may get haters. I had somebody that was just writing a really, they were actually coming against my personal character. It was nothing about the book. It was nothing about what they did or didn't like about the book, because I don't mind. If somebody doesn't like a book, that's fine. That's their opinion. But this person it was literally coming against my personal character. And so in that case, if it is not a review that has anything to do with your book, you can actually report it to Amazon, because they have not followed Amazon's terms of service with reviews. And I actually had a couple people, I didn't solicit it, but I had a couple people respond to that review, and eventually that reviewer removed their review, or Amazon removed it. I'm not sure which. But, you may get a couple of those, but you know what? You look at the best-selling authors on there, every best-selling author has some bad reviews. It happens. That's just the way it works. And as long as your overall rating is still above 4 out of 5 stars, you still have a good rating. And as long as you're selling books, you're going to continue getting reviews, and more than likely the good reviews are going to outweigh the bad. So my first 1-star review, I was devastated, and it was so hard. But now I take it a little bit easier and realize this is just part of doing business. If I'm going to be an author, if I'm going to put my stuff out there, I have to expect both good and bad reviews. And I think as authors, we just need to go into it realizing there will be people that don't like our book, and that's okay. But there will be a majority of the people that will. And so I think part of the thing is just learning to accept that it is part of being a published author.
Gotcha. And you had talked about the Kindle or the KDP Select free promotion opportunities, and that's how I found you. I was searching for, and you have a blog post, 76 places to submit your free KDP Select promotion for your Kindle ebook. So what are those? How vital are those in a strategy of somebody marketing their book now?
So I think it is still an option available to authors. It's not as powerful as it was when it first came out. When it first came out, you could really get a lot of sales after a promotion like that. However, right now, I think, again, it's about strategy. So if you're an author and you have a series, so if you're a fiction author and you have 4 books in your series, offering your first book for free is really smart, because then you hook people in to you who you are, especially if you're an unknown author. You get people to try you out for free, and then if they like your book, more than likely they're going to buy the second one, the third one, the fourth one. If you don't have any other books to sell, it may be a thing to still get your name out, maybe get some people on your email list, drive them to an opt-in where you give a free gift. But it's most powerful, I believe, right now when you are using it and you have a book, whether nonfiction or fiction, but it's a book in a series, and you can then generate sales on the back end from them buying some of the other books as well.
Gotcha.
I think I'm pretty much done as far as my questions.
You want to wrap up with the last one?
Yeah. So, Shelley, kind of based on what you've learned in the past several years, if you started as an author today from scratch, what would you make sure that you did as a first-time author?
For sure, I'd make sure I had an email list from day one, an email list where I'm, having people sign up to, hear back more from me, or like for fiction authors, you can say, to be the next, or to be the first to hear about my next book, sign up here. For nonfiction, it's really easy to offer, something, but to start building my tribe of people on email, as well as a separate list for reviewers. Starting that in the very beginning, starting that from day one, and many times to have that, you need to have just a basic website, or just a couple pages at least of something there. But it has been the most powerful book marketing technique for me, is having an email list, and I have thousands on my email list now, both in my Christian niche and in my author niche. So they're separate. I have separate lists for separate things, and that would definitely be what I would recommend first.
That's awesome. Thanks, Shelley. This has been a lot of fun and a wealth of information. I can't believe that it's been this much time already. But with that said, where do you want people to go and find you, connect with you, tell them where they can head over?
Yeah, I would love for you to come to our website, trainingauthors.com, download our Building a Book Marketing Plan, and get to know us. We're on Facebook, YouTube. YouTube is where we actually post a lot of video tutorials. So we do a lot of screen share tutorials, share a lot of things there for authors. So definitely find us on YouTube as well, youtube.com/trainingauthors and facebook.com/trainingauthors.
Great. Great. Well, thanks, Shelley, and thanks, everyone, for joining us on the Author Hangout. We'll see you on the next episode. Are you confused about what you should be doing to promote your book? Luckily for you, our Ultimate Author Checklist is here to help.
We walk you step by step through building your book marketing engine so you can actively and passively sell more books.
Go to theauthorhangout.com/free guide to get our free Ultimate Author Checklist.